Okay, so here we are back working on Orlo, my 78928, working on the Lutz installation. Last time I put it all in, I checked it out, and the voltage light stayed on and the voltage meter read low in the orange zone. There were some other problems, but I think the low oil level was, or is, just more sensitive than the earlier system was. So anyway, I got advice from Brian Lutz, who's been very helpful. I also checked in with the Renlist gang and Alan on Renlist. I recommended installing a resistor of 68 ohms and at least 3 watts. And so based on the information I got from Brian, I got this 10 watt 68 ohm resistor. If anybody needs this, I'll have the information in my parts records. And so now I'm going to pull the cluster out one more time and hopefully identify tracks 8 and 9 on the right pin, connection pin, and trace those and figure out where I can install this resistor with a couple short pieces of wire and a spade connector, female. Alright, so this is pretty disappointing. I jumped in the car to take a test drive and check out the new lights, and I've got a battery warning light on. I don't know why that would be. I guess I will be contacting the manufacturer of the Lutz board. Okay, so we're finally able to get back to the Lutz board for my 78928. Sorry if I'm repeating myself here, but these early cars, the gauge cluster and the wires that go to them, some of them had no resistor, some of them had 68 ohm resistor, and some of them had a 100 ohm resistor. I don't know where those resistors would have been since there wasn't one on my car. But because the Lutz board uses all LED lights, there's not enough resistance with the LEDs to simulate the resistance that would be in a board with no resistors. So needed to add a resistor. I think I showed in a previous video the plug for the right side of the gauge cluster. This plug here in the car traces 8 and 9 are the ones that were the ones of interest. One of them comes right from the alternator, and the other one is the power on black wire, blue from the alternator and black for power. And so I wasn't sure how I was going to install a resistor, but as you can see, I have one done here. My good friend Ross Tyree, who lives down in Towson, about 25 or so minutes from me, fixes and repairs guitars, including electric guitars, and so he's familiar with, and amps, I should say, and so he's familiar with resistors and soldering very fine wires and such. So he was able to help me out. So we have here a 10 watt 68 ohm resistor. I think there's an interesting story as to how they decide on how many ohms resistors will have. He was telling me there's like a 43 and then jump to 68 and then 680, 6.8. So they have these seemingly random gaps in the ohmage. That's probably not the right word, but you know what I mean. So anyway, he was able to do a fine job of soldering the resistor into those ports there, and so I'm going to install it in a little bit, and hopefully the low voltage light will not come on because of this resistor being added. We used a couple of screws that are just glued to the surface of the back of the housing there, and there's a little bit of tape to hold it off, so in case there's any heat generated, it'll have the ability to get out of there. and shouldn't generate very much heat. It's only going to generate heat when that light is on, and the light's only on when there's low voltage or when you've turned the key to the on position but haven't started it. So I don't think we'll have any problem there. Alright, I'll be back after I put it in and we'll see how it looks when I start it up. Okay, I am once again in the 928, ready to see if the resistor that we added to the voltmeter gauge has solved my problem. Let's see if I can get the key in there. Pause this. Okay, it was just the pod was not in far enough so that the key wasn't clearing the housing right down in here. So the lights are on, which is it should be, and the light goes out, and the gauge reads positive voltage, which is all good. So I think that means I'm going to put it back together and take it to Hunt Valley Horsepower Cars and Coffee tomorrow morning. All right, everyone, that wraps up the project to install the Lutz board in my 1978 928. Thank you all very much for watching through this rather lengthy two-part series. I can definitely recommend it to others. And thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. And say goodbye, Henry.